much marketing today is generated by AI. And I think that does two things. One is, I think it's detrimental to the people that are doing it without they're not using the right input. They're not iterating with AI. They're just cutting and pasting what comes out of it. And they're putting themselves at such a competitive disadvantage because the writing is lifeless and AI is by definition average. And so they're averaging out their marketing. They're taking the humanness and the life out of it. It just sounds like marketing copy is supposed to sound. And I think that gives people who are willing to put in the effort to create copy, even with the help of AI, but not totally relying on it, the opportunity to be more human in their copy. And that's what I think is going to stand out in the future. And that's what's going to drive successful companies.
And who wants lifeless? Like, do you want your brand to be lifeless? Do you want your communication to feel lifeless? I certainly don't. And when I see something from the far in my mailbox that's templated or lifeless, I delete it immediately. I guess everybody listening is like that. So in this episode, guys, David Deutsch and Simon Severino, we're going to bring you three things. Winners and losers of this week, so that you can get inspiration on how to make your marketing less lifeless, more vital. Book interrogations, because we don't have time to read all the books that we should be. So David will read them for us and I will ask him everything. And then bold predictions. We are gonna go outside of your comfort zone. You might laugh at us in 3 years when you look back at those bold predictions, but that's how much we love you guys. We are gonna go far out of our comfort zone and say something about the future. This is what's gonna happen today. And the big news right now is Salesforce has made a very bold move. They go headless. Now, is this a super smart marketing tactic or is this suicidal? And first of all, we have to explain what is headless, right? Maybe if you're old enough, like us, you have seen a few companies go headless and it was actually a genius move. So what does it mean, headless? Usually you have all these buttons and these rectangles and you're seeing something, which is a skin around what this software actually is. So for example, with Anthropic, you can use the skin around it and the buttons. That's Cloud Cowork, Cloud Chat, Cloud Code, but you can also go directly headless and using the beast directly. That's when you use the terminal. That's what I do. I go directly to the beast. I don't need everything around it. And I also don't go to my CRM anymore. Probably many listeners don't open up their CRM anymore. They just talk to their AI and say, who should I follow up with? And that AI goes into your CRM, looks the data, and then tells you, you should call this person. That's a headless way of using that CRM. Now, there is let's discuss if this is suicidal or genius. It might be genius if you become the infrastructure. Amazon did this with their cloud services a while ago, and it was a winning move. You don't even know which cloud you are using right now, but it's the core infrastructure. You're either on Amazon's AWS or on Google's cloud or on Azure. There aren't that many clouds out there, and you are not thinking about it. They are the core infrastructure layer. For them, it was a winning move. Now, it could be also a losing move, and we don't know yet. The losing version would be, wait a second, Simon. If I'm using Salesforce, I'm looking literally at it. And by using it, like people are looking every day at the Netflix logo, they're listening at the Netflix sound. That's why the brand Netflix is actually getting more important in the life of people. So if you ask my kids about Netflix, they know what it is. If you ask them about something that's on the infrastructure layer, like a cloud, they don't know what it is. So the suicidal direction might be, wait a moment, you're losing the daily attention of daily users because the agents are going to go there, but you are not going to go there. Will it become a commodity for you? If I ask you to switch from Salesforce to a native, younger, new company, will you easily switch because you have no switching costs? What do you think, David?
If I understand correctly, what this is kind of giving in to the agents. Everybody's into agents now and making everything, oh, my agent does this, my agent does that. And if I understand this correctly, which is always an iffy proposition, what what I'm sorry, what Salesforce has done has said, to heck with user interface and, having little boxes, as you say, and being able to type in and, and click here and go here and do this. We're just going to talk to your agents. We're going to just leave you out of it, right? Headless,
Correct.
right? We're just going to
Correct.
leave you out of it and let your agents interface with us. And don't worry about it. We'll just charge you for all the time and tokens or whatever
Usage.
that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
up. And so, in a way, it represents possibly, is this the death of the subscription model? Is the future going to be, we don't subscribe to things, we tell our Uber agent what we want, and our Uber agent goes and buys it from Salesforce or buys it from Amazon or buys it from here, and we just get the bill at the end of the month. So
We will
it's a little
definitely.
scary, I think, from that point of view, and a little scary from the point of view of, what if the agent makes a mistake? Like, I'm not the one typing this in now. I'm not the one clicking these boxes. How do I know what this agent is doing on my behalf?
From a pricing and charging perspective, we still will have subscriptions, but they won't be tied to seats. Like right now, you have 5 seats, right? 5 licenses, 5 people use
Hmm.
Salesforce. I think it will be more on a usage based. You might
Right.
still have some basic subscription level, but then, if you use it intensely, you will pay for more tokens on top. It will be usage based because there will be less humans who are augmented, who will
Yeah.
go to the actual
And
database and use it.
it's not even my usage. It's my agent's usage. And I don't know what the hell my agent is doing to fulfill my wishes. So it's
I'm
a little scary, and at the same time, it's a little exciting
Yeah,
that we, us people who don't have a huge SaaS company like Salesforce, maybe we can build things that interface with other people's agents. Maybe
totally.
we can make money all day long without us being involved or without even the people we're selling to being involved.
100%. 100%. And I'm using this already. I didn't go to my CRM for months. Because I had my agents go there. I just asked them, who should I follow up with? Who should I introduce to each other? Where did I drop the ball? And they're waiting for an offer. Um, can you craft the the more precise version of this offer for that
Mhm.
sub niche? So I'm not going there. Um, and they think, Salesforce thinks that's the future. More and more companies will not have heard their humans go into the CRM database to update things and to look up things. They will send their
Mhm.
agent and they will just type or dictate what they need and will use it that way. We'll
You
see.
know, maybe it is the future, but flying cars are the future too, but that doesn't mean I would get in one today.
Yeah,
So the question is it ready? Right? Is this something, can we trust this? Or is it ahead of its time? There were mobile phones, there were a lot of things that were built before Apple built the iPhone. There was things like Uber before Uber, but we weren't ready for it. There wasn't the infrastructure, there weren't the safeguards, there weren't the guardrails.
yes.
So is this too early? As you said, are they making a mistake? And would I be making a mistake to use it, to trust it?
We will see. I think they are on the right path. Execution will make the difference. I think everybody
Mhm.
needs to go headless unless you need the surface, because that makes the difference. So Ferrari shouldn't go headless, Netflix shouldn't go headless, but I think everything that's a database should go headless, because you are still going to drive your Ferrari and you are
Right.
still going to watch Netflix. But everything
So
that's going to be delegated to an agent, I think should go headless.
So if Netflix went headless, would that look like I sit down at my TV and something appears because it's what my agent decided I want to watch
What should I
or what I
watch
should watch.
today? And then you get three proposals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think
Um,
that would be a net negative for Netflix. Because right now it's this sound and that red N that pops up that creates your relationship to the brand.
mhm.
You say Netflix and chill. Hey, what we do? Hey, let's Netflix and chill, right? You say you Google something. So that's the brand relationship that would be at stake if it's the same thing, if there is Disney in the background or HBO or something else.
Yeah, yeah. It's a scary future, you know? And isn't Salesforce the company that fired all their people and was going to replace them with agents and then had to go back on that?
I think that was Stripe or Klarna, but they did reduce the number, not as much as we thought. Actually, I was surprised because they go all in on AI and they still have a ton of people actually. So they
Sure.
seem not to trust their own agents that much. So this move was a leap forward, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to give them credit for innovating.
Yes.
It's if it was me, I would make that a little skunk works. I would make that a little side experiment. I don't think I would alter my main product like that. But like you say, we'll see, we'll watch. We'll see
We,
what the future holds.
which tells you that maybe they have to, right?
Yeah, it tells you maybe they have to.
Because
You
it
know, I
is
think there's
risky.
an incredible amount. I mean, most of the people on your on these calls are probably going to be people that don't run a multi-billion dollar company. But I really think, as I know you do, there's so much to be learned by watching and learning from what multi-billion dollar companies do, both from what they do right and from what they do wrong.
I will later on, when we talk about winners and losers, I will later on compare them to a more innovative CRM company in their same space. But for now, let's move on to winners and losers of the week. One winner, one loser. David, who's your pick?
You know, my pick for the winner, just because I love books, right? I'm sure you'll be able to tell by the time this is done. I love books. And so to me, it's a huge win that Barnes and Noble was able to turn itself around. You know, they were going down, they were being beaten down by Amazon. They were closing stores. They brought in this guy from England, and he did a couple of very interesting things. You know, one of the things he did was, first of all, he left so many things up to the individual stores themselves, right? He said, look, you guys know your market. You're in San Francisco. You know what's going on in San Francisco. You know what kind of books people in San Francisco read, right? You're in Waco, Texas. You know what kind of books people want to read in Waco, Texas. We're not going to tell you what to stock. We're not going to tell you how to display the stuff. We're not going to tell you what kind of events to have. You guys figure it out. So this was not only smart in terms of being able to respond to what customers want and need, but it was also tremendously motivating to their employees because their employees were like, wow, I feel like I've got a great job now. I feel like I'm part of this. I feel like I'm doing something useful here. Um, the other thing that they did was for so long they had been seduced by money that publishers were willing to pay to get their books front and center, right? So Random House, Simon and Schuster, the big companies, they would pay Barnes and Noble. I don't know if it's millions of dollars, but certainly thousands of dollars in a first store or whatever to make sure that the new John Grisham novel is in the window or that this book that they want to push is displayed. And Barnes and Noble had the guts to say, the heck with that, right? We're going to lose some money, but we're going to let the people in the stores determine what books should be displayed. Um, so, and the other thing that I think they did too, which I really like because I love bookstores, right? Not only do I love books, I love bookstores. They made going to the bookstore an experience again. They stopped trying to, you know, you know how Starbucks has become just get your coffee and get out of here. Barnes and Noble also kind of became, buy your book and get out of here, but so they went back to making really comfortable places to sit. They went back to having nice cafes with coffee. They went back to they hired people that loved books and that were helpful. Um, and they made going to the bookstore an experience again. And of course, that's what we love about bookstores. That's why we go to bookstores and we don't go to Amazon sometimes is for that experience. And they doubled down on that. And, that's to me, that's a win. And again, there's so much to learn from that. Even if I don't care if you're a digital online marketer, right? You need to think about the customer experience. You need to think about, the degree of autonomy that you give people in your organization and how decisions are made and how localized you can make your marketing. You need to think about where you're taking money from and what you're sacrificing by doing it. Are you taking money from affiliates? Are you giving, are you, taking money? Are you filling your page with ads because it's an easy way to get money? Or do you have the courage to make it a good experience and sacrifice maybe some income for that better customer experience that Barnes and Noble did and came out a winner for it?
I resonate with all of this. My pick as a loser is again Salesforce, but this time just for how they communicate what they did. I told you I like the general direction. I like actually that they jump in and take the risk. And I think they will be right in the end if they execute it well. But let's compare their current website. For people listening to this, we're looking at the current website of salesforce.com to a newer CRM company. We have picked clay.com as one example. And let's just let the website speak for itself. Salesforce, the number one AI CRM. Who cares about CRM? Nobody cares about CRM. Why do you go to a CRM website? Because you have a sales problem, right? You want to land bigger clients, better clients. Why are you talking CRM to me, Salesforce? Welcome to the agentic enterprise. I don't care about your enterprise. I care about my conversations with the right people where humans and agents drive customer success together. This is blah, blah, blah LinkedIn language. Salesforce brings together Slack, Agentforce, Customer 360, product. We don't care, guys. Now, let's compare to Clay. Go to market with unique data and the ability to act on it. Now you are speaking to somebody who is actually looking for better sales. Bring AI agents, enrichment, and intent data together and turn insights into relevant, timely action. Yes, insights into action. The word action comes here up for the first time. Start building for free, and then you might continue. What's your take, David?
You did a great job of deconstructing the copy and saying, what's wrong with the copy. And I think that part of it is a mindset problem. Part of it is just how you're thinking about what you're doing as a copywriter, as a company, or whatever it is, right? And Salesforce seems to have this attitude of this is who we are. We're an agentic company, and we have to say we're an agentic enterprise. We have to say that, and then we have to say, that we bring agents together because we're Salesforce and we're number one. They're not really thinking about, okay, if you're in a room, right? You're sitting across from the ideal customer. What do you say to that ideal customer? That ideal customer is going, why should I do business with Salesforce? You're big. I'm just going to be lost. Um, what are you doing? What can you do for me? My problem is X. And so you really want to have in your mindset, how do I address that number one problem that my customer is coming to me? He's not coming here to hear about that we're an agentic enterprise and that we're number one. right? Like you said, they don't care about that. And as you said, the copy is LinkedIn, probably AI generated kinds of copy. And if you could go to the next one, um, and then this is like it answers that question of that prospect, right? Like what's unique about you guys? Like why should I do business with you? You're not Salesforce. You're some little company I never heard of. Well, you can go to market with unique data and you can act on it. Well, that's great because my concern has been I have all this data and I don't know how to act on it. And the data isn't unique. And boom, they address those two things right away, right? Bring AI agents, enrichment, and intent data together and turn insights into relevant, timely action. Like you said, action. These are action words. Turn insights into relevant, timely action. That's what I'd say to someone across the table, right? The stuff in the Salesforce ad is not what I would say to someone across the table. And that's what makes the difference.
That was my loser. And we're moving on into the third section where I am too lazy to read the books that I should be reading. And I might not be the only one, right? Some listeners might go, oh, yeah, I have some books too that I should read. So there are three books on my desk that I should read. There is David Ogilvy, there is Hopkins, and there is Schwartz. Uh, Particularly this book, Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz, and everybody tells me I should read it. It's so current and actual and important. I just don't. So, can you tell us what's in this book, David?
Yeah, no, I would be glad to because you know what? That also helps me and this is a great lesson for people, when I have to articulate something that I know from something, it reinforces it in my mind. I understand it better, forces me to understand it, and it forces me to remember it, and therefore I'm more likely to turn it into action, like that ad said, turn insights into action. So there's two things in breakthrough advertising. There's the first half of the book, which a lot of people overlook, because the second half is really specific about these techniques that you can use to really heighten benefits, like gradualization or intensification, all these wonderful things that you can apply. But people overlook the first half because it's a little more theoretical, but in a way, it's the most important half. And that's what I'd like to talk about today. We can talk about the second half. I'd love to another time. But the first half is about desire. And it starts with the idea that you can't create desire, which I think too many people try to do, right? Maybe that's what the Salesforce ad is trying to do. It's trying to create desire for Salesforce. Whereas the other ad is trying to tap in to an existing desire for unique data, for action, and for turning data into action. So it's tapping into something that the client already feels. So what you want to do in your marketing, in your advertising, in your copy is really to figure out what do your customers really want? Not just superficial, oh, I want more money. But why do they want more money? Is it just to have some numbers in a bank account, or is it to prove something to themselves, or is it to prove something to themselves, or to prove something to other people? Maybe they're trying to prove something to their sixth grade teacher that said you'll never amount to anything. So you want to really figure out what those desires is and show how your product taps into that. And that's where creativity comes in, because sometimes it's not that obvious how a product or a service taps into some deeper desire. But in a way, we're always acting from our deeper desires. We're always acting uh, to be more successful, be seen as more successful to others, to be the role model that we want to be to our children, um, to be in, older people, it's to live independently. There's some deep desires there. And his insight that you can't create desire. You can't create desire for this widget or this thing. You can only tap into what's already existing. And you want to tap into desires that a lot of people have. obviously, because you want as broad a market as possible. And you want these desires to be, intense desires, not like, oh, I want to get rid of my hangnail, or yeah, I'd like to have, something, but something that's really deep and important, um, life-changing even, transformational.
How do you know
And
that
then
there is intense desire?
you see it in posts, you see it in Reddit, you see it in Amazon reviews, you see it from talking to people, you feel it, you can feel it in yourself. Um, and the last thing is that your product has to be able to do something about that desire on some level. Um, the other thing in there, which is related to this, is you always want to be thinking about what's the level of sophistication and awareness that you're dealing with when it comes to this market. Is it weight loss and they've heard it all? Or is it some new type of AI that they know nothing about? So you want to think about things like, is this a problem people are aware of? Or do I have to define the problem for them? Dan Kennedy is great at that. He's great at defining a problem and then solving it for you. So do they even know there's a problem? If they know there's a problem, do they know there are solutions to that problem? Do they know that there are ways of fixing that problem? Is the disease curable? Is making more money possible? Um, Okay, if they know there are solutions, do they know that there are products that can give you those solutions? Are they familiar with those products? Again, that makes a big difference in how you're going to promote to someone. If they know there are products and there are solutions, how familiar are they with the advertising for these things? Is it like weight loss where they've seen it all and you have to do something that kind of rises above that, like why French women don't get fat? Or, again, is it something that they haven't seen anything about? You're the first one out there. So back when the first one out there did something about losing weight, you could say, lose 10 pounds, right? And people would buy it. And then as there was more and more competition, more and more awareness, you had to say, lose 10 pounds overnight, or lose 10 pounds while you sleep, or lose 10, or rub your belly away. So now today, again, you have to do things like why French women don't get fat. Or if you've tried everything to lose weight, we have a solution for you that works by you fixing your hormones, which are the root cause of your weight gain. So it's like, oh, that's new. But I think a lot of companies, a lot of copywriters make the mistake of addressing a market that's up here in sophistication as if they're down here. And it's like some big revelation that you can lose weight or make money or whatever it is.
So it's a lot of
And
research before writing anything, right?
yeah, in a way, but I think, something I kind of got from Chris Haddad, I'm going to steal. Um, is people in a way overvalue research. It's like, oh, I got to dig in and I got to talk to a million people and I got to do this and no, just, you're a person. Figure out what it's like to have arthritis and your hand hurts and you can't twist a jar to get the lid off. You could figure that out. Figure out what it's like to be poor. What's it like to have to think about every time you go to the grocery store, I can't spend too much? What's it like when your child says, Mommy, can you buy this for me? And you can't because you can't afford it. You can figure out what that's like. You don't have to research that. So just to give a little bit of a contrarian perspective on that, you know, I try to encourage people, go into yourself, do what method actors do, become the prospect.
And on your website, do you speak to all four levels of awareness or just to one?
Well, that's a good question, and it depends. It depends on if you're getting people at all four levels of awareness or if you're getting people that are on just one. It's always better to talk to just one if you can. At the same time, you don't want to lose people that are maybe, if there are a lot of people on other levels, if there's a wide range of people. But, you know, in advertising, the more you focus, the more you sacrifice, the more you give up, the more you let go of, the the better your results are going to be because you're focused now, and there's a laser power to focusing.
Thank you, David. So this was the first half, guys, of Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz, presented by David Deutsch. And now we go to our predictions. And David, next time we want the other half. So bold predictions. You go first, David.
You know, my prediction is that I think there's going to continue to be a backlash about AI and about AI copy, particularly, which is kind of my area of expertise. Um, I think you can start to see it in people reacting to copy that's AI, that's obviously AI derived. But it's even bigger than that, right? It's how kids are reacting to technology now. They don't want to be manipulated by these big they resent being manipulated by these big tech companies, right? They're doing things that are more experiential. They're going to bookstores, right? They're
And
they're they're
churches.
they're, they're
Churches are
yeah,
the new
yeah,
clubs.
yeah. They're locking up they're deliberately locking up their phones. Not only are their schools locking up their phones,
Yoga
they're
classes, Pilates
yeah,
classes.
yeah, and I think that's going to manifest itself in making it increasingly hard to get away with using AI generated copy. Um, Not only because, as we were talking about before, there's an inhumanness to it and a lifelessness, but people are not only can they, which they could always feel, right, even though they can't articulate it. Now they can articulate it. Now they look at it and go, look at all those M dashes. Look at that. It's not this, it's this, right? Um, so there are certain fingerprints you can identify AI copy by, but more importantly, you can identify it by a feeling. This feeling of it, it sounds good, but it's just kind of going on and on, generating next word, next word, next word in a way that sounds like it's supposed to sound, but isn't doing anything. And I think business people, copywriters, marketers just kind of need to keep their eye on this and be aware of it because my prediction is that it's gonna increase. And same goes for graphics. People are looking at things and go, oh God, AI slop, more AI slop. It hurts my eyes, right? It's
So
starting like,
ugly.
how we can now identify stock photography. We look at it and go, oh yeah, a bunch of people around the conference room table, that's stock photography. Now people are like, it's AI, and I don't like it.
I hate it. We made so much effort to more beauty. Things from now should be better than the Parthenon that was built in Rome 2000 years ago. They should be more beautiful, not less.
Hmm.
I'm with you on this. My pick is on the other side of things. I think AI adoption will accelerate, and my bold prediction is in the future, we're not going to work from our computer anymore. So, like right now, how many hours are you in front of your computer? For me, it's like 8 hours a day. It's going to be less. We'll be in nature. Talking of beauty, we'll be walking like the Greek philosophers. They were walking most of the time out there in a beautiful landscape under arcades if it was raining, but if the sun was shining, they would just walk and talk. And I think that's what we are gonna do again. We will walk and talk, and we will be in our favorite places, and we're gonna talk to our phone. Phone will still be around, but not in front of our face. It will be somewhere dangling, and then we're going to talk to it. It's going to listen, and it will get work done. It will dispatch it to agents, etc. So we will be less on our computer, guys. In 5 years, you can laugh at me for this prediction, but it's out there in the open now.
I'm not sure it'll take 5 years. You know what I mean? I think 6 months, a year, there's increasingly movements of getting back to nature. And, Cal Newport has been screaming about this for a long time about you need to go think. You need to go back to, you need to think in your office. You need to go into nature to think. And in a way, technology, what's interesting is technology makes it more possible. I can go for a walk and have a phone call with someone. I can have a Zoom call with someone. I can go for a walk and dictate a sales letter. I can go for
Sure,
a walk and
exactly.
listen to, a book or a podcast.
Yeah.
I can go for a walk and talk to AI and work out a problem.
Exactly. And that's going to be the future, I think. We will see. And guys, if you have bold predictions, let us know in the comments. And if you want the next book after the second half of Eugene's words, what should be the next book that we can read for you so that you can do what's your core, and we bring you the marketing tips and tricks that you need to have a great year. Thank you so much, David Deutsch, everyone, and see you soon.
Thank you, Simon.